Right, and don't talk about Del. Don't start talking about shaved legs. Right. Okay, I've got an obsession with shaved legs. I've got to be honest with you. Right. Anyway, Del, have you got any news for us this week?
Yeah, there's been a lot of Roman ruins found recently, hasn't there?
If you're talking about the 5 Mile Lane, they were discovered back in 2018.
No, not that one.
No, not that one.
One along the O2 railway thing.
All right, tell us about that. The HS2. Go and tell us about that. Good, go for it.
Yeah, there's that, and that announcement today that they've now found definite evidence of the dinosaur extinction.
But look, that Bill, that's got nothing to do with the Romans, but he's just saying it's too. Oh God!
Well, he started with the Romans, and then they went to the dinosaurs. So I'm confused.
Oh, please, no.
Carry on.
Yeah, two bits of news.
Yeah.
Does it happen all the time?
No,
It was a Roman dinosaur.
I don't even teach these classes anymore. I haven't taught these classes for a long time, and there's no wonder why I don't teach them, because my head's gone already. Right? Okay. Oh no. Do I say to Anne? Do I say to Anne? Anne?
Yeah.
You got any news this week for us?
Oh, only I'm deep in understanding the ace log something stone up in the Highlands of Wales.
What the Highlands of Wales?
No, not the Highlands. I call them the uplands. You know, this is the destruction of something is like. It's a stone. It's part of a series of stones. They're like medieval. That's a Neolithic maybe, or Mesolithic, and Cadu actually know about them.
Right, there's this. Oh God, please help me.
And they're doing a lot of research to actually pinpoint the cosmology of how the moon and the sun actually affect this stone, and how it moves across the sky and everything. And I think I'm giving them credence, because they're working very hard, and they shouldn't build a wind farm there.
Yeah. So yeah, you're talking about I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. Bill, this week.
Well,
Bill.
Well, if Del doesn't mind, I'll pick up on what he said about this dinosaur find. This is in Tannis Park in North Dakota.
Hang on, the Romans didn't even.
The Romans got the Mars card. You didn't know it yet. Anyway.
How would you prefer it?
Well, widespread excavation.
Get to North Dakota.
I found the back end, or the hind leg, if you like, of a small dinosaur.
Oh.
And it's totally fossilized. Even the skin is on it, fossilized skin, And they're trying to link this date-wise to the theory of the asteroid obliterating life on Earth, the dinosaur extinctions, etc. And they seem to think it does coincide, So they say it, and it's direct evidence, yes, that the asteroid theory was true, and here's the evidence. That's what they're trying to say at the moment. But read about it. There's a lot more to come from this. Yeah.
Is that what? I'd like to know, Del, what about this Roman find? Tell us a little bit more about that before we start.
I think we've mentioned it before. It's the one with the mosaic.
Oh, the mosaic. Yeah. In sort of Leicestershire area. Leicestershire area. Oh.
No, Rutland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah, they're still talking about it.
Frozen.
Good, good. So look, what we're going to do, we're going to be looking at Kent's Cavern. Right. Okay. Look, what, Bill. I think for some reason, right, whatever reason this is happening.
I'm not getting one, but it just seems the way of the future.
Yeah, that's good. Excellent. Right. Okay. Right. I've stopped their video. Okay. We're gonna look at Kent's Cavern.
It's not in Kent. Oh, of course, we're using the old book again.
And Kent's Cavern is in talk. I've got just to show you, and I'm gonna have to mute you. Right. Okay. Mute. Right, Bill. I've just got you to talk to now.
Okay, you're frozen twice, Carl, just to let you know.
Okay. Well, the new phone has actually arrived. So.
Yeah,
Anyway, so have you ever heard of Kent? Have you ever come across it?
I've heard of
Freezing.
it, Carl.
What's
I've
that?
heard of it, but I know little about it.
Okay. Look,
You freeze in.
what I'm going to do, which is, I just want to keep it.
Carl, you freeze in. You've still.
A little bit enigmatic, and today.
Carl, you still got the
actually-
technical. You're freezing, Carl. You still got the technical problems. Every few seconds, you freeze in for a few seconds.
Oh, great.
You're frozen. You're back. Oh dear. Yep. Still the problems persist. Be patient.
Back again.
You're back, Carl. You're back.
Good.
How long for, though?
I don't know. Well, we'll see how it goes. Right. So you're right. Okay. So we got the others there. That's fine. So Kent's Cavern itself is by far one of the most important cave systems that we've mentioned in these classes recently. So we were looking at the archaeology of the caves on the Gower, and in my classes that we looked at the problems inherent with the archaeological finds that were being found in places like a Cat Hole, Tuth Hole, Deborah's Hole, Mowsland Caves, Pavland Cave, and so on. And the problem is lots of the discoveries being made on the Gower were being made at a time when archaeology was still in its infancy. On the other side of the coin, when we look at Kent's Cavern, it's an amazing locality, because even from the off, even from the discovery and understanding of the importance of the caves, people were seemingly recording things and taking things seriously at Kent's Cavern, which was very different from the shoddy work that was undertaken by Reverend Buckland in 1823. So the one thing about Kent's Cavern is it's never been discovered. It's always been known about. And it's one of those places that we've got so many artifacts that it helps establish early civilization and early human links in Britain going back 500,000 years. It's a cave system with stalagmites that are preserving the archaeology. And it's a cave system with not only rich archaeology, but very rich geology alongside each other. And although I could basically say that since 1824, people have been making discoveries in the cave, people have been making discoveries in the cave for thousands of years. One thing I discussed today with those this morning was the idea that places like Kent's Cavern, places that have been visited on the Gower that are caves, even the likes of Stonehenge, have been tourist attractions for thousands of years. And one of the strange things that we were looking at when we were looking at the cave systems on the Gower was that there was a lot of Roman artifacts being found within these caves. And immediately people presume that that's obviously evidence of occupation. But it might actually be evidence of people just visiting these caves as tourists. I know it's a very difficult concept to think about, but we do know that Stonehenge, for example, was a place that the Romans visited as a tourist attraction. Roman legionaries visiting Stonehenge as a tourist attraction, it's very difficult to understand. But what I'm trying to say is that whenever you look at cave systems, you undoubtedly always think that they've been occupied, or places where people have been buried, or places that people have used for cave art, or places that have been used to store food, and so on and so on. But then you start to think about caves as being used over many, many generations, over thousands and thousands of years, for completely different purposes. When we looked at Gothhold Cave last week, we saw that nearly 15,000 years ago, 14,700 years ago or thereabout, we found that people were defleshing bones and defleshing human bones in exactly the same way that they were defleshing animal bones. Now, in my local class here, we were discussing this on Monday, and I said to everybody, I said, I'm gonna give you a new concept. And I said that one of my Barry students, and I think I mentioned this to you last night, Bill, but I mentioned it for the others. One of my Barry students, every single time one of her cats dies, she would put it into a deep freeze. She's got a collection of cats in a deep freeze, right? And this one day she said to me, it was quite strange. She said to me that she had a psychiatrist visiting the house, and the psychiatrist asked her about her life, and she said, "Oh, I got these cats in the deep freeze." And apparently the reaction from there was actually a psychologist and a psychiatrist at the time, she said, and she said the reaction was one of absolute horror that she's got the cats in the deep freeze. Anyway, moving on a little bit, one of my people in down here, they said actually their grandmother had stuffed 10 pet cats and mounted on the wall, right? Taken to a taxidermist. And then something suddenly dawned on me. This is a major point. Something suddenly dawned on me. Whenever people find human bones in a cave, or whenever people find animal bones in a cave, and there's marks that they've been defleshed, right? It's always suggested that those individuals had been eaten, right? That the flesh had been taken off those individuals and the flesh had been consumed. And we're not only looking at human being remains, we're looking at animal remains. We immediately jump to the fact that people were cannibals. But then the obvious thing is that there's not much flesh on a human skull. I have tasted what the equivalent of human flesh. I've eaten monkey's brains, so I know what it tastes like. But I haven't eaten monkey's flesh, so I'm not going to know what that tastes like. However, the one point being made is that why didn't people in the past go into caves, deflesh animals and human beings, arrange the bones? They would arrange the animal bones and the human bones all together. And they might use the human flesh for other purposes. They might use the animal skins for other purposes, as we well know. And the point is that we always presume just because we find a human being's defleshed and the skin taken off, that people are cannibals. And I'm saying that that's simply not the case in every single circumstance. And we looked at that. And if you look at the idea of taxidermy, you know, we do that with animals today, and we think that's a bit strange. But why couldn't they have done it in the past? So we can't always presume when we find human remains in caves and animal remains in a cave that the flesh has actually been eaten. And then somebody could jump in and say, oh, of course these people would have eaten the flesh. Really? Where are the signs that they ate the flesh? Just because they're taking the flesh off, it doesn't mean to say that they're eating the flesh and the muscle and everything else. So that was a really interesting point that we made on Monday, actually, and I used that this morning, and I mentioned that on Tuesday as well. So when we look at Kent's Cavern, we've got to try and understand the past very differently. And another point I made today in regards to all the cave systems, Creswell Crags, Cheddar Gorge, Goff's Cave, and Kent Cavern, and the ones down the Gower, and lots of other locations as well, Swanscombe as well. When we look at these, we see the artifacts in the cave, and we immediately think that these people were cave dwellers, right? So if you find artifacts in a cave dating back 15,000 years ago, when we were in a very cold spot, the ice is still growing another 3,000 years before it melts. The one thing that we think that because we find all these artifacts in caves, that people lived in caves. But then you look for the other artifacts on the vast landscapes of Western Europe and Great Britain, you don't find anything. And the reason why you don't find anything is the ice has scraped everything away. Because there's going to be no artifacts. There's going to be no bones of any animals. There's going to be no bones of any humans, because all of it's been taken away. You might find some axes, but you're not going to find anything else. So making this stupid presumption that caves are the only repository of evidence in the past, and that was the only place that evidence there ever was, the assumption's wrong. But today is the place that we do find the evidence. It's the last vestiges of evidence from people living 40, 50, 60, 100,000 years ago in the main. And unless you look for footprints at Haysborough on the east coast, or you look at Boxgrove, where we do get some human remains as well, but that's from a very longer period of time when deposits have been laid down on the ground. So when we look at Kent's Cavern, again, where is this? You're thinking, where is this? In Kent's Cavern, since at least 1824, over 50,000 artifacts have been recovered from the caves. And we've got a secret treasure trove of archaeology being preserved and trapped under the stalagmites.
Where is it, Carl?
Torquay.
Okay, carry on.
Torquay. We got plans and maps. I'm almost doing this as if you want to keep asking questions. Where is it? What's going on? And when we look at the images, this is why we will answer it. So the one thing about Kent's Cavern is that we've got a story of archaeologists going into Kent's Cavern, which is absolutely fascinating. Kent's Cavern is treated very differently than the caves on the Gower. When we look at Reverend Buckland and the forgery at Paviland Cave, what we do find is that he was in Paviland Cave for 2 days. And 90% of all the artifacts found in Paviland Cave have since been lost. But 90% of the artifacts found throughout the years at Kent's Cavern, we've still got, probably more than that. So the differences in how we treat the past is and how we interpret the past is how it's undertaken in the first place. So what we've got is the layers that are formed in Kent's Cavern are formed by stalagmites, which, as we know, tights down, mites up. So the calcite is forming down, and it's forming stalactites that come down, and then you've obviously got the drip stalagmites, and they actually form directly on the archaeology, preserving the archaeology in the underground cave system, creating thick floors concealing animal and human occupation, preserving a history of a wonderful world, not only just going back tens of thousands of years, but we've got that archaeology in the cave systems that is that is quite consistent all the way through the ages. We've actually got graffiti from the 1500s. And in fact, we do actually find graffiti around Britain from the Roman period and the Neolithic period. Graffiti is not unusual. So the one interesting thing is that this is a very interesting point. Talking about lack of evidence and evidence available. Stalagmites are normally formed in warm weather conditions, but the cave's temperature inside is always going to be the same, no matter whether it's cold outside or warm inside. But it's just that the calcite and all the other deposits and the other minerals make its way through all the cracks and everything in the rock. So what we've got is the majority of evidence that we find in these cave systems are from periods when it was a little bit warmer outside. And in the colder periods, the evidence is slightly absent because it may have been mucked around with and changed and altered and flooded out the cave system. So it doesn't mean to say that people weren't living in the cave system completely consistently over tens and tens of thousands of years. The other point to be made here is when you look at these cave systems and you look at the vast landscape and you think, right, so most of the evidence from the pre-glaciation has gone outside the caves, right? When you look outside the caves, you do actually find evidence, say, for example, a Mesolithic period. You've got the Mesolithic period from 12,000 years ago to 8,500 years ago. And through that Mesolithic period, slowly but surely, you actually find evidence out there, like Starkar, like Hoyk up in the Northumberland coastline. You actually start to find evidence from the Mesolithic period, but you still actually find evidence in caves. It's just that there's going to be less and less evidence in caves because we're finding more evidence outside. So by the time you get to the Roman period, you might find one or two coins and bits of broken pottery in caves, which have been used throughout the ages, but we find a lot more Roman evidence outside. It doesn't mean to say that people live in the caves in the Roman period. It means to say that they're visiting them for whatever reasons. We actually see burial chambers in the Vale of Glamorgan like Tinkinswood, that you've got evidence that people actually visited Tinkinswood burial chamber in the Roman period because you've got broken pottery in there. And people think, oh, that's because they lived in it. No, they didn't. They visited it because for various different reasons. Like people visited Stonehenge and like people, this is a good point. This is everything I want to make. When they built the houses at the round houses at St. Fagans, they found that at St. Fagans that at the backs of the buildings at St. Fagans, they were finding loads of pencils and pens and pencil sharpeners and rubbers, all congregating around the outside of the building. That's where the children would stand. So they would lose the rubbers that they'd just bought in a gift shop. So they found all these artifacts, and then they removed the buildings. And the only evidence to say that anyone had actually the buildings had ever stood were actually the rubbers and the pencil sharpeners that the children had dropped, right? So in the absence of evidence, it doesn't mean to say there weren't things there. It's just the way evidence is formed over time, and how the evidence is created to allow us to see it today. So we're always going to be very limited from what evidence that we find from human society. You know, for example, I'm recording an area of Barry that was once a massive military supply base, but most of the buildings are now gone. But it doesn't mean to say that there wasn't a massive military supply base there, and it doesn't mean to say that it wasn't part of the D-Day landings on the 6th of June in 1944. It was, but we don't have much evidence to say that it ever was. But in absence of evidence, it doesn't mean to say that that didn't happen, because it did, because we know it did. So what we find in Kent's Cavern is the stalagmites are massively important pieces of evidence, offering us some tantalizing clues that these archaeologists would then discover, or antiquarians would then discover, or whatever you want to call them, in regards to the next bit today, which is talking about early explorers, which is where we're going to go now. So what I'm going to do, we're going to take a little interjection break, because I just need to refresh something on the computer in front of me to make sure things are still running smoothly. Bill, just take one of the things I've just mentioned and tell me what you think, any of it.
Well, people always assume that the first habitation was a cave. going way back to Neanderthals and before, you know, which isn't always the case. But because caves not everywhere, people who've evolved in limestone areas, yes, they'd have more opportunity because there'd be more caves there. But there are other areas where there wouldn't be any caves. So what do? First of all, they'd shelter underneath a big tree or something. Then as the intelligence actually evolved, they think, oh yeah, perhaps we can make a lean-to. That idea would come forward, and maybe the first habitation was something to lie under. A little wooden building, maybe. And then
But all that evidence has left us. That's the point.
yeah, of course, it's all gone now, isn't it? Yeah. So we'll never know if that's the case. But as you say, because things were left in caves, you assume they would live in there, not always visiting, as you pointed out, and then evolve from that as intelligence. The trouble is, we're talking about such long periods of the evolution of intelligence that it's difficult to come to a timescale.
Yeah,
Isn't it really? I mean,
yeah,
from the moment my man stood up as erectus, you know, full of hair, to the time he lost most of his hair and his brain had developed, etc., so that he could use hand tools or make some sort of basic structure to live in. That's probably millions of years, you know. Such a slow process, isn't it? But caves would have been obviously the most convenient place to shelter.
but again,
if they were there, if they were there.
If they were there, exactly. If they were there, and that's the point with all this. It's just trying to see, because what we've got is a bit like a museum, isn't it? You go to a museum and you've got a certain amount of things on display, right? But you haven't got everything on display that's ever been created. In fact, you've got so little in museums on display, it only gives you an impression of what the past was like. And we try from that to again offer us an idea. The past is just an idea. It's just a passing postcard of moments in time that are just in many ways just very, very fleeting. So actually, what I am going to do, I'm going to change something a minute, because I'm getting problems with my computer a minute. So what we're going to do, we will actually show you the images now, and we'll go on to the explorers in the cave in a short while. So we'll just look at some images and show you where all of this is. So let's just go with this. Hang on, let's not do that. Nope. Hang on a minute. Let's just go with this. Lovely. Just the images I wanted to show. Okay, go. Are you seeing an image on your screen, Bill?
Yep, got it. Oh, right. So it's in the talkie area, is it? Okay.
Yeah. And lots of the archaeologists who seem to have investigated the cave seem to then have come from Cornwall of all places, which would obviously please our leprechaun Pete. But you know, the one point that you actually made was in regards to these caves being in limestone areas, usually carboniferous limestone areas like Craswell Crags, which is going to be slightly on there, just off the border there. The carboniferous limestone caves, for example, on the Gower, and then you talk about carboniferous limestone cave evidence in regards to the islands of the Bristol Channel, and then you're talking about the carboniferous limestone caves at Cheddar Gorge as well. So these are all the repositories that we're talking about, and you're right in what you're saying. In the absence of limestone caves, you're not going to have caves, but that's not exactly true. You're going to have overhangs. But I think the point I'm trying to make, and I think we know what we're saying here. The point I'm trying to make is that the evidence that we got in the caves is only a small amount of what people were doing in Britain in the past. It's only a small representation. So we can take a lot from caves, but you're writing what you're saying, Bill. That, you know, there's this impression that everybody lived in caves in the past, and they didn't. And there's lots of reasons not to live in caves. One archaeologist talks here about there might be that caves were used as hyena dens, or caves might have been used for bears, and they might have been used at the same period as human beings. They would just sort of evolve on actually who uses the cave. So if we go to an image, this is a nice oldie worldy image of the cave system as the cave exploration develops. So I'm very critical of what's going on with the work at Pavlan Cave. Even in the 1840s, 1850s, 1860s, Colonel Wood is making rudimentary mistakes. But what's happening with Kent's Cavern is that people seem to be respecting it and revering it and recording things and taking notes of things, which is very, very important. So early explorers within Kent's Cavern reveal a remarkable history of human occupation. And what we do get is a lot of firsts with Kent Cavern. What we see that some of the very earliest stone tools are found in Kent's Cavern. Yeah, we got stuff at Boxgrove from 800,000 years ago. Hang on, I'm going to mute you, Anne. Right, thank you. Right, we might actually have flint tools elsewhere, but we've got flint tools in context in the cave system. We can sort of relate those flint tools with the bones found around them. And maybe the humans that actually used those flint tools. When we find sort of flint tools at Boxgrove, there is other evidence, but not as much as Kent's Cavern. The evidence from Kent's Cavern goes back 500,000 years ago. Now, what we do find is that tools were the first things that were being properly found in 1824 that led people to believe that Kent's Cavern was a very, very important cave system. And one thing that we do think as well with Kent's Cavern, it's another example that Neanderthals lived there and Homo sapiens Neanderthals lived there and Homo sapiens sapiens lived there. And we might find at Kent's Cavern that there is, no, I'm not going to say it, that there might be evidence of the first couplings between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, which to create modern day hominids today. I never feel that Neanderthals ever died out. There was just less Neanderthals, and their DNA become a bit convoluted with Homo sapien DNA to create Homo sapiens sapiens. That's the way it is. But we do find that everyone's living in the cave. Do you know what I mean? If you're happening, there's evidence of bears living in the caves, hyenas living in the caves, Neanderthals living in the caves, hominids living in the caves. It's the hip thing in the past to live in this cave system. In 1927, something truly remarkable was found. The top part of the maxilla, the top part of the jawbone, was actually found. So you have got the lower mandible, and you've got the upper mandible, the maxilla, and that was actually found in 1927. There's lots of stories about that jawbone. I'll tell you a few little stories. People used to think initially they thought that jawbone dated to 15,000 years ago, and you're thinking, right, in 1927, that's quite a risk to make. People were still thinking about the Earth being created in 404 BC, in 1927, but they took a risk, and the jawbone itself was a lot older than 15,000 years ago. And this is what I say in archaeology: if you get something wrong, the date range wrong, you say something's late Roman from like 400 years AD, and then it actually turns out to be from 200 years AD, that's a plus, because it's older than you thought. If it's younger than you thought, that's an absolute disaster for me anyway. But so what we're talking about is that the evidence itself is consistent with a great deal of proper interest over the years. People haven't just gone in there and taken things out and forgotten about them. They've gone in there and they thought about them, which is very, very important. So when we think about Kent's Cavern, it's become a natural, as I said, it's the natural treasure chest. It's the place to go. And the other thing about Kent's Cavern is the way the archaeology is preserved. So when you get a stalagmite forming on the ground, basically it's creating top down, right? So the drips from the stalactites, right, form on the stalagmites. So it's from top down, right? So whatever's underneath is going to be sealed there. You can't fake the evidence, like Piltdown Man forgery in 1912. The strange thing, the guy who actually identified the dating and gave some proper dates to this cave system, and said, you know, this is bloody old, this is really ancient, was Arthur Keach, the same guy who confirmed that the Piltdown Man forgery was real. So he got one thing right with this, but naturally get the Piltdown Man forgery wrong. Over thousands of years, Kent's Cavern is the place that's intrigued people. Roman coins have been found in there. What the hell are Roman coins being found in this cave system? What are they doing in there? Why are they there? Why? So throughout the early modern period, this is the other thing. We're just going to forget the Romans for a minute. So in the early modern period, late medieval period, people have ventured into the caves, and we know that because in 1571, there's an early inscription. Well, there's lots of other inscriptions there, but people don't care to look half the time. Can you remember when you must have done this with Jess, and Jess said that Creswell Crags, they had been doing guided walks in Creswell Crags for, you know, best part of 40 years at Creswell Crags. And then suddenly somebody looks up and says, oh, look at those carvings on the roof. And the tour guide said they'd never seen them before. They were obvious. There was loads of them, right? And carvings are really intriguing because you keep finding them, different lights, different times. Love it. So William Petrie, 1571, left an inscription in there. And then in 1688, an inscription was left by a certain Robert Hedges. Right? Robert Hedges was very, you know, you got these two interesting figures leaving. Why are they there? Are they like me and Bill? They want to explore these places, right? Did they pick something up and take it away with them? So 1571, William, Robert, 1688. We know that there's carving. We know that they were there. It's great. If they hadn't left their name and the date in there, we wouldn't have known they were in there. But there you go. So these early explorers were crawling and brawling against the stones that they were having to fight against, going into these cave systems with poor sources of light, and crawling over boulder-strewn chambers. Unfortunately, this is not what's there today, because over the years, as the caves have been investigated, though that boulder strewing is disappeared because they've had to sort of prepare it for tourists. But then again, what's archaeology about? Lies, and more lies. What archaeology is about is change, constant change. Now, this is rather interesting. I would prefer if this guy Thomas Northmoor had investigated the Pavilan caves, the Pavilan cave, we would have had a different result, right? Thomas More visited Kent's Cavern in 1824. He was actually looking for evidence of underground Roman temples from the Mithracian cult, right? He was looking for underground temples from the Mithracian cult.
Carl, you still got the image of the Kent's Cave?
Oh, Christ, yeah, sorry. There you go. Bill, I'm glad you told me that, because we need a different. We need a bit of a change. This isn't Thomas More, but it's one of those people at the mouth of the cave doing some explorations in there. There you go. So thanks for that, Bill. That's a good one there. So Thomas More in 1824, he thought, oh yeah, let's try and find some of these temples. Anyway, he'd been aware, obviously, of there was Roman era activity within the landscape, and there's a belief that a shelter Tor Bayway, there was a shelter known as Ash Hole, and it was believed that might have been used as a temple for the cult of Mithras, and the cult of Mithras had to go underground, actually, virtually, but because by the mid 300s, the only religion that was becoming very prominent was a Roman religion, the new Roman religion of Christianity. So by the end of the 300s, any other religion was outlawed. So you'd need to have your temples underground. That's what we get the evidence of Ashhole. But Thomas Northmoor thought that in this cave at Kent's Cavern, he's going to find evidence. He didn't, but he was not disappointed. Northmoor explored, and to his absolute amazement, he actually found animal bones. He found animal bones of an animal that was now extinct in 1824, bear, and animal bones of other animals which would not have been around in the Roman period, hyena bones. And it was like, oh, this is really interesting, really impressive stuff. Stone tools were found. And it was this that led somebody else to interpret what they were seeing at Kent's Cavern. So I'm just gonna put the fire on a minute because it's absolutely freezing down here. You bear with me a minute. 30 seconds. The next guy, as I hold this down a minute, was a chap by the name of Father John McCarthy, or McKenzie, Macenery, McKenzie, or McCarthy. Father John McCarthy was had a great interest in history. He was a religious man naturally, religious man, and McCarthy developed an interest in what Thomas Northmoor had said about Kent's Cavern, but McCarthy had an interest generally in archaeological and ancient ruins. After all, McCarthy had visited the area to visit a chapel from the 1200s. He would visit this chapel in the 1200s, known as Ilsham Chapel in Torbay. And this was a stone's throw from Kent's Cavern, situated across the valley from Kent's Cavern. So he could look over, and he was intrigued about that cave, and he was also intrigued about the work of his predecessor, Northmoor. McCarthy, or whoever's written this has spelt his name in two different ways. McCarthy began to explore the caves, Kent Cavern's cave, and uncovered bones of extinct prehistoric animals and human-made flint tools lying side by side under thick stalagmite floors. So basically, you can imagine he's thinking, right, what am I seeing here? And he's looking down and just directly poking out the stalagmite. He's seeing an artifact. And he's saying, right, well, that artifact must be, by my French, must be bloody old to be under the stalagmite itself. It's genuine. It's going to be something very different from any of his teachings, any of his education about the Bible and anything he's been told. Remember, McCarthy should have believed, like any religious man, that the earth was founded by God in the year 404 BC. And this is what Bishop Ussher said. McCarthy may have been one of those that was developing another mind. And that mind was not to question the Bible, Bill. So let me set the scene. Bill, we're going to have a bit of a discussion. Bill, you there?
Yep, I am here.
Bill, what about this statement chucked at you, right? This is the world that McCarthy lived in, alongside Reverend Buckland, who believed that the earth was created in 404 years BC. But McCarthy may have thought differently. So this is McCarthy. He's saying, Bill, the earth was founded in 404 BC by God, but there was another planet that existed before God had his way creating it. What would you say about that?
It's a theory.
This is what they thought.
Yeah.
McCarthy had to be a religious man. He had to believe the teachings of the Bible. He had to believe everything that people were saying about the Bible. So McCarthy's way around it was to say, right, the earth was created 404 BC, but it was God and Jesus's earth which was created 404 BC. Before that, there was another Earth, and that was another world that was created by somebody else, right? So that means that that world that McCarthy was seeing in the cave could be thousands and thousands, if not millions of years old. So McCarthy could get away with arguing that this evidence was tens of thousands of years old, but it existed on Earth before the creation of God and the great creation of 404 BC. So what do you think about that, Bill? Does that make sense? I'm a devout Christian, Bill. I believe it all, but I'm saying, to explain the evidence I'm seeing, there was another land, there was another planet that existed before God created it.
That's illogical, isn't it? You've got the evidence in front of you. So I don't know where he's coming from. He's trying to relate what he's seeing with the Bible stories, isn't he?
But he's not. What he's saying, no, there's different, Bill. What he's saying is that you can believe the Bible. You can also say that there's other evidence before the Bible that wasn't created by God, but that evidence could be tens of thousands of years old. This is what he's.
But the key thing there, of course, is they didn't accept the date. They thought the date 4000 BC. I think what Bishop Al-Assa said, Carl, the Earth was 4004 years old. I think that's what he said. Okay, but yeah, I lost my thread now. What was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, because he was rigidly stuck on the Bible stories, the creation stories, he couldn't actually accept what he was seeing. So he came up with this different idea then of a different Earth, if you like. So
yes, exactly.
To try to explain what he was seeing to satisfy himself.
Bill. Exactly, Bill. And the thing is, no, well, if you look at it, we're not going to argue on that, but 404 BC, but there you go. But anyway, you can look that one up. But the thing is, right, I don't know if you're a fan of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but there was another book which was written by J.R.R. Tolkien called the Silmarillion. And the Silmarillion discussed of a world that existed before the world of Middle Earth and Lord of the Rings, right? And it may have been that J.R.R. Tolkien was coming up with this sort of people really struggled. People really struggled at this time to get to grips with the early evidence. And what Reverend Buckland simply did, he just fitted it in. He just said, right, everything fits in with the Bible, and that's my dating system. But McCarthy come up with another dating system. You can have tens of thousands of years, but it was before God created the earth in 404 BC. It's great. But Bill, this was a transition period. This was, he would be done as a heretic if he thought of anything else. So McCarthy described his first encounter with ancient artifacts in Kent's cavern as follows. Here we go. This is what McCarthy saw in the 1820s. I went to a spot which had been disturbed. On rumbling it over, the lustre of enamel revealed the first fossil teeth I had ever seen. As I laid my hands on them, relics of extinct races, I shrank back involuntarily. So this itself is his description. He's saying it had been disturbed. However, there was evidence underneath the stalagmites that had never been disturbed. Drawing on his findings that he prepared for publication, he could not raise the funds to publish his muddled manuscripts because it was a muddled thing, wasn't it, Bill? Yeah, this is a he's trying to fit in his theological mindset in with the actual stuff he was trying to see. He needed to arrange his recording, but he found them such a jumbled mass of contradictions that he ended up convincing himself that he was wrong, but he was right. This is the thing, you see, Bill. It was a jumble of contradictions. Today we know that McCarthy had indeed discovered that humans had lived in the caves thousands of years ago, before the generally accepted date of mankind's origin according to biblical chronology. So in other words, Bill, he questioned it. And this is the thing about history and archaeology. I told everybody when I started coming to my history, when I started coming to my archaeology classes, question everything I'm telling you, everything. And this is why we start to learn things. So I think we're what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about another chap, and because the reception is going quite well, I'm just going to keep going. Okay, so there was another chap now who years later was inspired by McKennie's work. He took McKennie's work and he said, right, McKennie had an inner question. He had an inner question. He couldn't work out the chronology because he was struggling with his inner theological versus archaeological. So William Pangeli was inspired to see the Kent's caverns for what they really were. And William Pangeli actually undertook very high-scale scientific archaeological excavations in 1865 for 15 years, all the way to 1880. The excavations themselves were a mastermind of delicacy. He was able to understand those layers and read them using a three-dimensional grid mapping system. So in other words, he was able to map the layers and to work out the depths of layers. This is what it was great. He lived in Torquay, right, for over 40 years, and his cave researchers attracted distinguished visitors to his house. And where he lived in Torquay, he had visitors from the British royal family, the Dutch royal family, the Russian royal family, so that must include Putin, and even Napoleon III visited him between 1865 all the way to 1880. Now, the one thing about all this is that it was inspiring that after the work of Charles Darwin, archaeologists were now taking the work of Charles Darwin and actually saying, actually, this date of 404 is absolute nonsense. McKennie's struggle is explained, because what we are saying is that humans have lived on this planet for not thousands of years, but tens and hundreds of thousands of years. So Pangeli had experimented on another cave beforehand. He had experimented on something known as Wellwood Cave. And he was looking at Brixham Cave in 1858. And he basically said about Kent's Cavern, he said, well, I've worked on these other sites. I've made these discoveries, but Kent's Cavern was never a discovery because it's always been there. The only thing I'm doing in Kent's Cavern is just putting the history together. It's just putting the story together that McKennie was just so close on doing. If McKennie had lived in another generation, maybe 20 years on, McKennie could have probably worked it out quite easily. He said, right, let's just ignore 404 and everything goes back in a chronology. That's fine. Now, William Pangeli was up against this idea that we mentioned earlier on. This idea of this idea of the cave being used for a very, very long period of time, and has been used consistently for a very long period of time, because Roman coins being found and all those carvings and stuff. It's just like a really consistent historical page turner. The Pangeli felt that there was a problem. He needed to do this all properly and using a certain type of stratigraphy, because uncontrolled access to the cave for hundreds of years might challenge the evidence that he's seeing. So what he needed to do, he needed to excavate to using a scientific method to convincingly refute claims that there's any signs of forgery. This was before the Piltdown Mound forgery. So he was trying to make sure that any critics would be thrown down, and he would be able to say, look, this is all proper, this is all stratigraphy, this is all old stuff. So he came up with a 3-dimensional grid mapping system commonly used today. I've used a grid mapping system in my excavations, and everything was the way it needed to be. He'd spent a year excavating at Brixham, and the Brixham itself, which is just nearby, which is a cave that we will be doing in the future, was discovered when workmen laying house foundations broke into a large cave and found man-made flint tools, and Pangeli excavated there. But he was excavating there in 1858. It's still a bit early for him to turn around and say, we've got really ancient evidence of human beings living in the area. It was what needed to happen was Pangeli needed to excavate this, and he needed to do it right. For his most important and largest excavation yet, Pangeli came to Kent's Cavern and launched a 15-year excavation, and from 1865 to 1880. And the excavation laid the founding stones for modern archaeology. So this guy is a father of archaeology. I'd never come across him until I did this, Pangeli. They dug through stratigraphy, layers laid down, telling the story as it's meant to be, not a story that's been mucked around with, which is very, very important. So he dug through the stalagmite floors and revealed what lay beneath. Tools of ancient man with bones from extinct animals, even discovering hand axes from humans that he had no idea of the date. But those hand axes, he believed, were tens and tens of thousands of years old. And those hand axes turned out to be the very earliest ones from 500,000 years ago. Pangeli meticulously recorded every object found, its location and level within the cave segments, which was a revolution in cave archaeological excavation. This is at the same time that Wood is excavating caves on the Gower. This is just a couple of years later. But Wood doesn't have the scientific noddle to do this. Pangeli did. His diaries today provide the best information on the archaeological and geological story of Kent's Cavern and give an amazing insight into how the cave might have been during the Victorian period. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to announce that we're going to have a break soon, and I'm getting a bit worn out, so I might have a coffee, which is going to make me a bit nuts, but that's the best way I've got to keep me awake. So then what you do have is that Kent's Cavern was left and it was used as a show cave and people visited it, right? So what happened was that a certain guy by the name of Arthur Ogilvie, he's obviously Cornish as well. He was a curator of the Torquay Museum and led 2 excavations in the cave in 1941 and before in 1927. And it's that this excavation in 1927 that brought an amazing find to us. The find of a human maxilla that we mentioned earlier on, found in 1927, displayed at Torquay Museum. Now, they thought that this jawbone was one of the oldest pieces of human remains found in Britain, i.e., a piece of jawbone, upper jawbone maxilla. They thought it dated to 15,000 years ago. Arthur Keach said this, who was the learned expert on these things. But Arthur Keach was wrong. The bone had actually been dated and turns out to be no younger than 38,000 years ago. And the one thing about this is that there's a great debate with the jawbone. Most people believe it's a Homo sapien sapien bone, i.e. The final progression as man, as we sort of interbreed with all the other Denisovians and Neanderthals. So obviously Homo sapiens sapiens are the bee's knees of human evolution. And this may have happened in the cave. Some people actually believe the jawbone is actually from a Neanderthal. But then again, it's an early piece of modern-looking bone, the earliest piece of modern-looking bone to be found anywhere in Britain. And this is found at Kent's Cavern. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to declare that we're going to have a break. We're going to invade Poland because Ukraine's already being invaded by another country, so we'll invade Poland instead. Something to do. And are there any questions?
Carl, you said that Kent's Cavern is a tourist attraction, so presumably there are modern pictures of the cave. Have you got any you could show us?
Yeah, I do.
Or
Right,
no, after the break, if you like.
yeah, no, I can show you now. Now this is as the Kent's Cavern is now. It's got this nice sort of floor. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the boulders from the earlier descriptions. And there's various different maps. There's some of the stalagmites on the floor, and obviously some of the stalactites as they come down. That's going to be full of archaeology under there, but obviously that's going to be trapped and preserved forever. That's the bone that we're talking about. And they've got basically that there's a little plan that you're given. So there's a little house there, and you've got all the parking and stuff. They get 80,000 visitors a year. And you've got this sort of arrangement which you can go in. It's very different than Dana Rogoff because, but this is a similar type of cave system. Dana Rogoff has still got lots of archaeology there that's not been looked at. In fact, Bill, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. About 20 years ago, the owner phoned me up, and he said, "Oh, can you come and dig up these bones in the cave in Bone Cave at Dana Rogoff?" I just sat back and I thought, "What? Hang on." He said, "Oh, we need to do something about them." I said, "I just leave them there. They've been there for thousands of years anyway. They're still there." But the fact of the matter is, there's still lots to learn from these cave systems. It's just getting around to doing it all. But we don't need to rush, Bill. But the one thing as well is that this is a point that I made on Monday, which I'm going to make now, and we'll move off these images now. Everyone talks about the Romans build, don't they? They love it, but the thousands and thousands of people visit the Gower every year. Well, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people visit Cheddar Gorge. Right. 80,000 people visit. Oh, hang on. 80,000 people visit the likes of Kent Cavern every year. People like to visit caves, but they always talk about Roman sites. But prehistoric archaeology is massive in Britain. It's just that we don't do enough with it. Creswell Crags, there's thousands of visitors visiting there. I don't think we make enough of prehistory, even though it's a massive part of our archaeological story.
True.
So, right, okay, let's take a break and let's see what the numpties want to say. Right, come on in. Come on, how are they going to say, Bill, when Anne's got an opportunity to talk, she don't take it, Bill.
Where is she and where's Del? Where's Dorothy?
Del's gone home. He's had enough. No, he's got to go home. But what's the question?
What do you mean?
So Kent's Cavern, they're on the uplands, are they? Not from the sea. They'd be up in the hills. There's very high hills above.
Yeah, they're very different. They're very different from some of the caves on the Gower. But
Yeah,
it's still accessible cave systems. They're obviously but Kent's Cavern itself is like the Cheddar Gorge system. And it's a great system full of archaeology, and we just don't make enough of it. Anne, why did you put your picture on again?
what?
We're not seeing your picture.
There she is.
I'm up there. I'm in the sky. At the top.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it is. I turned it that way, so it's Oh no, I mean it's,
hang on, why Del didn't even say goodbye.
Oh no, he's he understands.
Do we?
The thing is, Carl, we normally leave at 4:30. And because so Thingy can go catch the train. So I came
does?
here at 2. I came
Jess.
here at 2 o'clock, and
Hang on, Anne. Hang on. I've been talking solidly for over an hour. I need a drink.
go and have a break, please, and then come back with about 20 minutes of pictures. All right?
Right. Okay. Look, Anne. Right. Let's discuss this. Let's discuss this question that Dorothy asked. Right. What should we actually do?
I think we should make allowances for. Yes, please.
And the problem is, right? Other
Only
people are
this
going
one person.
other people are going to start to say it, and then we're going to start. Jessica will end up losing her job.
They don't need to know.
Right.
I put some posters around yesterday in the markets and in the hub. If there's any problems, Carl, I'll deal with it. Don't worry. We'll just, carry on. We're quite happy to carry on with the payments.
Yeah, but Anne, the biggest problem is that I have to teach a class to support Jessica because we don't have enough people in BRIDGEND. So,
She has 10 people in. How much are you paying her? I mean, she has 10 people in Lantwit.
Jessica gets paid 200 quid a week.
Well, you haven't got enough money for that.
Anne, I do have enough money for that because
all right then. If you have 10 in Lantwit.
No, we got 10 in Lantwit. We've got 12. We've got 12 here. We've got 10 online. We've got 12 in Barry, right? We've got the stuff that we do on a Wednesday. We've got all the other income. Yes, we can afford Jessica.
Well, look. I think the other alternative is to go, like you say, go online and you have another class. You open another class somewhere. I'm trying, I can't see why I can't just find another couple of people. But to be honest, I don't know if I will be able to. Right. You've got to have people who are friends and comrades and things, a group of people who know each other, want to come together. I just don't think that's going to happen again.
Well, the thing is, it's happened everywhere else. I don't know why it's not happening in BRIDGEND.
No, and you've all tried very hard over the years, haven't you? You, Carl, and you all tried hard to.
Carl has worked very hard over the years because he did a lot of he did a lot of leafleting, and that was fantastic what he did. I don't know how many people he got for it, but it's
the best case we can see short term then is Dorothy staying and Leighton, the patrolman, they're coming in permanently.
Yeah. I mean, he would be a good member.
But Anne, we can't, everyone has to pay in block. It has to be. That's the point. It's if anyone got wind down here that this is, everyone who turned up down here, basically, it's 50 quid for 2 months. Otherwise, you're not being in the class. That was basically it. So, Jessica, if nobody turned up, but the room, everybody's paid, then it doesn't matter because Jessica's still going to be paid. But if people,
you've got £200 from our. You get £200. Oh, it's only £100 a month, isn't it?
Yes.
£100 a month from us, and you get £250 a month from Lantwit. And you say you're basically paying it to Jess.
What the hell was that? That's all right. Something's coming on my screen. It's gone now. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 of us, isn't there, paying £50? Or you do not even, you're not even, no, it's you, me. You and me.
And
Dell.
There's three of us.
And you're doing the wrong calculation. It's 50 students times 50 quid over 2 months.
Yeah, but it's over 2 months, so 50 quid is £25.
Let me go a wee while that you talk.
Oh my God.
Oops.
There's huge, big hailstones coming down.
What's happening? Well, the other thing is that maybe Dorothy and I and some other people will form another group, a local, BRIDGEND local archaeology group that we don't have to pay for. And it's just ticking over here, you know. People like Leighton and you know, I haven't even approached the medieval house. We keep saying we're going to go there, but anyway, you know, I want you to obviously earn an income for Jess, you know, and that's, we've got to think of how you're going to do it.
Yeah, well, I know how I'm going to do it. Jessica teaches a new class, and because this is the point.
Do you think you get? I would go to St. Athan. You know, I would go as far as St. Athan if you needed an extra class. But of course, Bill, would you still be able to do online?
Yeah, I could do online, but we'll have to change people around.
Yeah.
The other thing as well is if the accountant knew that people ain't paying in advance. Yeah.
Mm. Well, you know, that's Dorothy understands that. She said she just won't come. You know, but while we're here, at any rate, we're you know.
Okay, I'm just going to put the kettle on now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I'm back. I'm back. Who's there?
Are you back?
I'm back. I'm here. Just been to the bathroom for an essential visit. Where's my coffee, Anne?
Oh, I got we got plenty of milk. I got tea now.
Get me a virtual coffee.
Look, you know, the reality is, Dorothy knows, I don't want the stress. I don't want any more of this stress. You know, I got the class going in, I got the premises in the old castle. We did that for months. We'd come here, and 1 minute there's somebody new starting, and then there's not. And you know, I mean, I invest a lot of my
time and money.
Yeah, time and energy. And you know,
and it is recognised, Anne, by me anyway.
I know.
Recognised by Carl as well.
But I wonder if it's worth it, you know.
Well, because we failed really to get more recruits.
When we were all doing it online, I mean, I felt awful to Dorothy, you know, that you didn't, because I couldn't, you know, but she could come online. She could come to my house, but then
I don't really like that.
No.
Would she do that?
No.
Would she do that, Anne?
No,
She doesn't
I don't
like
like it. It gives me a headache.
Yeah.
So I'm miserable bugger today, and I.
It's all right. You didn't know whether you were going to come or not.
No,
And you're
well,
not sure what to do. I know. I don't know what to do either. I think maybe I'll just start my own group
Yeah, but are you
Oh,
talking,
Carl will love that.
are you talking like this now?
A
Because
breakaway group. I'll tell him now, shall I?
No, no,
I can't, you know, if it's going to make an
No.
issue out of it, I'll pay it. I got money, you know, I haven't got a lot of money, but there's money there to do it. But I can't see how
Well,
one is going to make such a big difference.
well, I don't think. Well, he's got.
At the moment, there's 3 of us, isn't it? You
Yeah,
paid £50 for 2 months.
only 3 of us. So.
So Carl's getting £150 for 2 months, isn't he?
Well, it's not Carl actually. It's he's paying Jessica.
He's paying Jess, of course, yes. Yeah,
He's being paid £200 a week.
yeah. So he's losing out really on the class, isn't
He
he?
can't afford to pay her.
Yeah. We need one more really to make the books balanced, don't we?
Does Dell, what does he?
No, we don't. We need more than that, of course.
Dell pays
Nice.
£60. He pays £50.
We need 8 actually to balance the books.
And then if you don't, you know, come, he doesn't. Well, all of us are the same. If we don't come, we miss the money.
Oh yeah, you won't get a refund. No, it's no
We
refund.
waiver the money.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking about it. I've had you know, premonitions or thoughts about whether it's worth carrying on. I've been out with some posters. Whether I'll get any replies, I don't know.
Well, the only reply you get if somebody turns up at
Yeah.
2:30 on a
Oh, I've
Thursday.
given them phone numbers. I've given them my phone number and Jess's. Although I don't know whether I should have given them Jess's.
Because George won't come
and-
back.
and I mean,
Robert won't come back.
You know, she's a
Has
lovely
anybody
girl.
heard from George or anything? I wonder if he's
No,
still alive.
Ros said she'd come back, but she hasn't.
No, I know. I've just sent her a message. Well, the thing is, look, I think I'm suffering from depression, and I don't feel motivated to rally people, you know, to join and things.
Yeah,
you
but
know.
you've done more and
But
enough.
you've got to have people who are enthusiastic and you know, maybe there's a time limit on enthusiasm, you know, and mine's sort of gone now.
No.
And that doesn't mean to say that there's not other people around who might want to do it. I mean, there's loads of new housing developments and things on the Vale of Glamorgan. If you went to St. Athan, they might find people there. You know.
So I think you'll have to put a deadline on when we Carl's going to make the final decision. A deadline on when the classes switch from live to Zoom.
Okay, look, and all I can say, right, is that I advertised around here and I had 12 students in the first week.
Yeah. Well, let's see in 6 weeks now who actually pays the next 2 months. You know, whether they'll still be with you. You know, it's got to have continuum, hasn't it? Continuity. I mean, I can't believe how much we've milked the BRIDGEND for like the people, you know, we've had and the people we've lost. I mean, we've had people die, you know. I mean,
well, if the fictitious pandemic didn't happen, right, we would have over 20 people now, and I'd still be teaching it.
Yeah, I know, and because you know, people felt comfortable going to the church.
But that's a good point, actually, Carl, about COVID. Maybe there are people who read the notices would like to come, but they're still hesitant.
Yes.
COVID infection has been so high. So that is a factor, and that could go on for quite some time, couldn't it? Something we've got to live with, really. Will it ever change?
Well, now don't forget, let's face it, Henry, one of our top pupils, he's online now. He's gone online. Pat is not available anymore.
He's doing me.
George.
Right, okay, look.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, what? And right. Why don't we do this, right? Why don't we do this? You've got we've got to get the renewal stuff next month, right? Which will be the 2nd of next month, which is in approximately a month's time, where I'll be asking everybody for the £50, right? So we will keep going for this month, and we'll keep going for next month, right? And then it'll be a matter of either people transferring to other classes or going online. Now, what I need is 2 new people signed up with their £50 to keep this class going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see what Leighton says when he joins us.
Oh yeah, Leighton's supposed to be.
So that could be one.
And the only person that I need to ask now is without anyone saying anything, right? Dorothy, what would you like to do? It's just Dorothy, and you don't open your mouth now. Right, Dorothy, right? I want to ask you 2 questions, right? Why did you come back?
I was nagged to come back by my sons because I haven't been going out. And
Right, okay.
I enjoyed coming, and I have,
Right, okay.
I have threatened not to come, and I enjoy the company. Whether
Right.
I don't know, with it being locked up, it's safe, isn't it? I stay in my pajamas all day, but like if by paying up, I will come every week, won't I? So
Yes.
it's beneficial for me to pay the £50 and then come every week. But the way it was put that if I don't join, the class finishes, and I felt under pressure that I was doing it all for all these other people.
Right, okay. Well, okay, Dorothy, what I'm going to say is this, right? If you pay your subs, then it will give us enough time to try and get other people on board. So we'll keep this going. I'm not keeping the class going for you, right? But we'll keep the class going for this month and next month. So that's 2 months. Does that it? And therefore, it takes the pressure off you and everybody else. Does that make sense?
No, so what do you want me to pay then for the 2 months?
If you paid for the 2 months, right? Okay, I'm going to put it this way. We're going to put it this way. This way. If you paid for the 2 months today, right? We'll keep the class going for this month and next month, right?
Right.
I'm going to keep the class going for this month and next month anyway. So if you paid the I'm shooting myself in the foot now, but I'm going to say it. I may as well pay the honest card. If you pay the £50 today, then we'll keep the class going for this month and next month, right? If you don't pay the £50 today, we'll still keep the class going for this month and next month, right? But if you do pay the £50 today, then it means that it takes the pressure off you, us asking you for money every week, us asking you what to do. At least you know what to do. And if you do pay, then we'll make sure you get notes given to you if you miss any weeks. Is that a good deal?
Oh. Can I give Anne the cash and then she gives you a check?
Yeah, you can give it.
I haven't got cash now, but it's I can get it.
Yeah, you can give it to Anne. Give it to Anne, right? So that means, Anne, I want you to stop talking about this class going on because it's going on for this month and next month. I want you to shut up. And Bill, we don't talk about this again. We'll see what we can do in the background. And if in 2 months' time from today, nothing's changed, then Dorothy doesn't come back because there's no live class. And then everyone else will go online. Is that a good plan?
It's a plan, yeah. Yeah.
That's what we're doing. And it's sorted.
All right.
So I don't want you talking about it anymore because it's pointless. We'll do what we can do. It means then that everyone's going to be happy. They know they've got a class for 2 months and that's it. And if it does carry on,
Yeah, I mean,
if it does carry on, it's not dependent upon Dorothy. It's dependent upon new people.
yeah, that's true. Well,
So
really,
Dorothy,
depending on Leighton.
it's now Dorothy, you're off the hook. It's dependent
Well,
upon
yeah.
Leighton. It's Leighton's fault if the class doesn't continue.
Well, that's not fair on him then, is it?
Oh, shut up, Dorothy.
Well, he's been keeping us, on a string the last.
Right, okay. Right, we got to enjoy. Right, Dorothy's come to enjoy what we're doing, and this is exactly what we're going to do for the next 20 minutes, right? So, Dorothy, is that sorted?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sort the money out with Anne, and she'll put it in the account.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't want you to mention money for the next 2 months.
No, I won't mention it now. It never bothered me. I just thought I was happier going with the £6. But I know that if I pay up, I will shift my bum to come every.
Dorothy, can I just say one thing, right? If you give the money to Jessica, it means that she's got to remember to give the money to me every week, and it's just like it's one less thing.
One less worry.
Yeah, that's right. So Dorothy, you're sorted.
Yeah, sorted. And we look at it's lovely.
Good. Oh God. And Anne,
Yeah.
you've now because you've got a class for the next 2 months, you've got to bring a cake in every week.
Oh.
Dorothy, can you bring in a cake? Can you bring a cake in next week?
No, she's
No.
been bringing in sweeties and things.
Oh,
so-
Malteser biscuits. I was going to get this. But I didn't.
Oh, Dorothy, shut up. Right. Right. Okay. Oh, Dorothy, can I ask you something? Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about B days? I feel they're a good idea. What about you?
What to say?
B days.
D-days?
B days. B days. B days.
Oh, B-days. Oh, my
Banana
friend
landings.
swears by them.
The thing is, right, Dorothy, would you agree with me that a B day is far more environmentally friendly because you don't have to touch your backside with tissue, and you don't even have to touch your backside at all with your hand?
I'd love a B-day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paro had a B-day.
I know Anne's for B days because she don't like wiping her ass either.
Oh, God.
Oh, you've got to use toilet paper.
No, Dorothy. No, the whole point of it, Dorothy. You're talking rubbish.
Well, no, a B-day is just there if you have accidents. I wouldn't use it every time at the blood. It's a waste of water.
Dorothy, it's a waste of paper. I don't want to be touching my backside or your backside to clean it. Anyway. Oh, I forgot this is big. Yeah, right. Anyway, Bill, right.
Come on
what
now.
we're gonna-
Look, we got to go home. We got homes to go to.
All right.
I got to go and stand on the corner there in 50 quid. What's it done now?
All right then. Sure, Anne, be quiet. Right. So what we're going to do? We'll have a little more look at these images that we got on there, right? And what I want to do is this. That one there. Are you seeing this? Good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Don't seem too enthusiastic, Anne. Right? Just don't labour the point. Don't seem too happy to see it. So
It
fine.
looks like my teeth.
Oh, Dorothy, I didn't even ask you. If I wanted your opinion, I'd ask for it. Okay.
I thought that was too.
That's a hidden property.
Right, guys, be quiet. Good.
Concrete. It looks like
But-
concrete.
Shut up. Now, this jawbone itself was found in 1927, and if you turn it the other way round, it's an upper jawbone. It's called a maxilla, and this itself was a massive find because nothing really happened after Pangeli's excavations in 1885. And what they did, they made a little bit of money in the cave system by tours and so on. in 1927, there was a renewed interest, and the renewed interest, and you're still looking at the teeth, I hope. The renewed interest was sparked off in 1927.
Carl, we've lost the image.
We're looking
Oh
at
my
the gloves.
God. I just gotta keep playing with the screen. Hang on a minute. Let's just get that on. You know, I'll be so pleased to get the new doodah next week. It'd be great. There we go. Good. There she is. There she is. Good. So this is the thing. It was you know, finding this, the jawbone, changed everything, because it was seen as a very early piece of archaeology. It was seen as groundbreaking. You know, 3 teeth in a jaw. They did actually date it originally for 15,000 years ago, but they were absolutely completely wrong on the date. And what we now know is this jawbone itself has been dated scientifically. And it could be up to 44,000 years old. Now, I know we've got human bones that have been found from other periods in British archaeology, right? But this is the bone. This is very similar to our own maxilla structure. This is very similar to what we've got in our upper mandible. Therefore, this is a direct ancestor of ours. This is an ancestor that's a divergence of all those other ancestors that have come together, including Neanderthals. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to sort of just give you a little bit of teasing information, because I know it's getting on, but Tent Cavern itself, in regards to archaeology, is also of massive interest to geologists as well. And since 1952, it was one of the first sites of special scientific interest because of everything there. And it became a scheduled protected nature monument in 1957. Now, it's owned by a local family that have been using it as a tourist centre for prehistory and geology for 100 years now. And it's very similar to what happened with Richard Goth's cave at Cheddar Gorge. And that itself was what was the first show cave in Britain. It had electricity. Cheddar Gorge Goth's cave had electricity in 1899. So Bill mentioned earlier on about the cave systems being associated with carboniferous areas like Creswell Crags and Gower. And the one thing is, yeah, that's right, because the soft limestone and the soft sandstones are washed out of these carboniferous limestone caves, which formed 350 million years ago. And I know Dorothy remembers it well, 350 million years ago. And these systems themselves, we've already looked at the importance of Goth's Cave last week. We looked at Pavland in the past. We've still got Pont Newydd to look at. We've done Creswell Crags. We've done Haysborough and these wonderful Paleolithic sites from across Britain. So again, still looking at this. And one thing they've been going back and forth with the origins of this. Some experts used to think that this was actually a Neanderthal jawbone, right? But others have basically said no. The reason why it looks like Neanderthal is because it's got both Homo sapien and Neanderthal characteristics, and that obviously makes us modern hominids, Cro-Magnon modern hominids. So what we've got to think is when they what? What?
Oh,
Are you listening?
sorry, I was looking at it the wrong way. That's the teeth are on the top. The roots are on the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh.
You absolute numpty there, Anne. Nothing's changed. Oh, let's get to something else. Right, here we go. Hang on, let's just get to another image. Right, okay. Hang on, we'll get to there.
What did you
Oh, look at that there. Look at these beautiful rock formations. Got it?
No, we're still looking at teeth.
Oh, hang on a minute. Let me get this right. Go on. Right, where am I? Where am I? Oh, photos. Yeah, if I go with that one there, right, and I do that, and what we're going to do? We're going to get And if you dig up Jimmy Savile, you could invite him to your class.
What? What did he say?
Right. Anyway, so the one thing about the other thing about Kent's Cavern is that you know, it is very, very important to understanding how Britain was originally colonized, and it was said in 1845 by the Torquay Natural History Society that you know, this was going to be the place that would be used to gather the artifacts for the new museum, funding all those various excavations. And the one thing that we do clearly know is to try to get precision in archaeology. Now, back to, we mentioned this archaeologist Pangeli in 1865, and Pangeli saw that that there might be the possibility that the stalagmites and the stalactites may have actually formed over hundreds of thousands of years. And if, this is what Pangeli said, if the stalagmites are formed above human remains or axes or anything like that, anything under that great old stack is hundreds of thousands of years old. And this is, he started to think this, and we've got evidence within Kent's Cavern of you know, remains dating back to 500,000 years ago. Pangeli plotted the position of every bone, flint, and other artifacts he discovered during the excavations, and afterwards continued working with a naturalistic society until 1892 when he died. So we've got to say that Paleolithic archaeology, Mesolithic archaeology is massively fascinating. We're learning so much from it. And next week, what we will be doing, what we shall be doing, is another fascinating cave system within the world of Paleolithic Britain, and trying to get something out of that. So that'll obviously be Jessica next week. But look at that, Bill. Look at the beautiful formations that these people
Wonderful,
look at.
yeah, wonderful.
And the one thing, Bill, when you're looking at this beautiful formation, is that this is the same type of formation that that people in the past would have looked at.
Yeah, it doesn't grow much.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, this is true history, that what they looked at is what we're looking at.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
What is different now is that they've made it very touristy, and there's a level floor and all the rest of it. This is very different from what our people in the past would have actually seen. But obviously, if people need to get access into it, but these are some of the ancient worldy stalagmites that actually do contain trapped time capsules of our past, telling us more information about these caves. Now, we haven't seen much in the way of bones like we did at Goth's Cave last week, other than odd human bones throughout the years, and obviously this jawbone, which is massively important. But we can't understate the importance of this wonderful resource, and a wonderful resource that stretches back hundreds of thousands of years into our very own consciousness today. People are still fascinated and amazed by caves, and may it long continue. And by having caves that people visit, there's obviously a fascination there that will never die. So what we're going to do, we're going to call it a day. Nice little end for that today. Dorothy, are there any questions from you this week, darling? Where they gone, Bill?
Where's she gone? Anne's muted.
Yeah, well,
Anne
she can... Dorothy, shut up. No, she's not there. I can't tell. Anne, unmute yourself. Bill, anything you want to say before we finish?
Where are you? Oh, the
There they are.
Yeah, look.
I'm going grey.
I've gone grey.
Dorothy, can you smile at me at the same time and speak?
Keep your sense of humour.
You say you've enjoyed seeing him again.
Oh, as I just said.
I know.
Oh, I've enjoyed seeing you again.
Hey,
And
not
you're
as much,
And you're
Dorothy.
still as mad as ever.
Dorothy, not as much as I've enjoyed seeing you. Do you know what? I lie in bed at night thinking about your legs.
Oh, you've led a very sheltered life. I think you should get a magazine.
Spent too much time in caves.
The problem is because you've now got hairs on your legs, I've got to imagine you without hairs on your legs.
I'm going to have to edit all this.
Anyway, the one question I've got, are we back to normal next week with Jess?
Right,
Yeah,
you're back to normal.
hopefully.
Right, okay. We're going to make it clear again without Anne. Dorothy, tell Anne to shut up next week if she. We're gonna be doing this for 2 months. For the rest of this month, there's three weeks in this month, and
You better do. She worries about everything. You leave her alone.
But
Never mind.
hang
I
on,
gotta
hang
go
on.
and have one of them things shoved at me next week.
Are we meeting again next week at 2:30 with Jess live?
yes,
Yes.
Okay then.
Yeah.
And I got my booster job in Bridgend at 2:05 next week.
Oh.
So if I'm not there at 2:30, just carry on without me.
Come in.
I should be there in time, but just in case I'm a few minutes late, tell to carry on, okay?
Right, Bill, can I ask Anne a question, which I know you're thinking of, right? Is why is Anne always having things stuck up her prostitute?
I know. It's
Yeah, it comes.
I've been wondering that as well. I think he's a bit kinky, you know.
Taking a fancy to her.
Dorothy, have you often wondered why Anne has things stuffed up her?
I've never really thought about it, really. No,
Right,
I think she's very brave. I wouldn't like it.
Okay, are we about to say goodbye?
I think we're about to say goodbye. Bill, it's been great seeing you 3 times this week, isn't it? And twice, 3 times? I don't know. Yeah.
Nice to see you, Bill.
Yeah, yesterday went very well. We did ropes.
Ropes.
Oh
Ropes.
yeah, ropes. He did ropes.
We did, yes, we did, yeah.
Yep. But you know what?
And then-
Bondage and whipping didn't
and
come
then
at
we-
once.
Yeah, we did Lamberton. Sorry, St David's Cathedral
Oh.
and Bishop's
Okay.
Palace.
Right.
Hey, Carl, I hope you're looking after yourself.
Hang on a minute. On that note, Bill, I will see you next week. And Anne, it's been great seeing you. But Dorothy, it's been an absolute great pleasure. It's good to see you still alive. And Dorothy, you haven't changed 1 inch. It's almost as if you must have dyed your hair blonde.
She hasn't
No,
changed,
I've
has
aged
she?
quite a lot. I've gone a miserable old bugger.
Hey, but we haven't got Glenda here to upset you and me, so don't worry about it. Anyway,
Ta-ra.
Hey, we'll have to see if we can get George to come.
I was like, we ring Joyce.
Get Glenda to come back.
She'd be happy.
Oh, you found
Yeah.
it.
Okay then, is that it?
anyway, Bill, I'll see you next week. Take care, Bill.
Yeah.
Bye.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
Anyway, Anne, I'll see you next week, and Dorothy. Dorothy,
Bye.
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 Nobody's not gonna
Bloody hell. Tell you what, that was hard work. I don't know why my head went. Anyway, take care. Don't forget, everybody, like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching today. I know that was bizarre, but that's life. Take care. Bye. I'm gonna keep that on live stream a minute. So I'm gonna see if there's anybody online, and I'm gonna see if there's anybody in the chat box. Do you know, in life, it'd just be nice to get things a little more simple. So I've got this on you. I don't know how I've got this on you. Do you know what? I've had an absolute bloody guts full of this iPhone. Do you know, it's just like you've got to like go backwards to yeah. Time jumping. Here we go. Right, here we go. Oh, there's one person online. So if that person online, if you're still there and you want to ask me anything, I know there was a bit sort of convoluted stuff all over that, so I'm just gonna edit this. I'm just gonna edit this, and do you know what? I might. It's just everything's a bit of all over the place at this minute. Should have known better. I was should have. Kent's cavern done. We did that today. Has anyone actually used Patreon out there? I don't. Well, we're not going to be using PayPal anymore for payments. I'm just gonna go down here and I'm gonna see if I can monetize it, which I haven't done. So anyone watching, I'm blithering on. I like blithering. Slithering. Well, it's been a lot better. It's been better this week. Oh, Tuesday. Oh no, it hasn't been better. Tuesday was an absolute nightmare doing this. It was really, really bad. So, right, I'm going to do that. Virtual. There we go. Anyway, I'm probably going to go now, I think. I'm probably going to go. I might have a little lie down. Oh, I've got something I've got to deal with. Oh, my God. It's having a moan. Eggs. I've got to deal with eggs. I've got to sort out some eggs. My delivery. Do you know what would be best? Would be the best thing to do? Do you know, I haven't actually given this a name. If there's anyone actually out there. 4 views, eh? It's not exactly rocket science. 4 views. Ross Broderstock gets hundreds. Thing is, it's like a group of people who are used to listening to me. What have I done today? Kent's cavern. Right. There we go. No, it's not for kids. Oh yeah, that's what it is then, isn't it? Yeah, I'd like to walk. I'd like to get back to what Walking the Walking Dead. It's just. Is that me or have I got white hair? I don't know. The Walking Dead. Right. Oh, do you know what? I'm gonna. You know, it's just like, come on, just don't. No. Sometimes the controls on this YouTube thing are not easy. So I've basically done, right, I've taught online today, right, to cover for Jess. I still empty the van. Not lots to do. Got to tidy up, I guess. Go back to there. So I'm whittering at the end here. YouTube. I'm going to get back to that to see if there's any messages written on you. Like Kent's Cavern, BRIDGEND live. Just sorry, anyone there? So if there's one person watching, right, I'm going to go now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. No, nobody's put anything in the live chat. Here we go. A little device. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. Whoever's out there. And lots of comments on there, I think. Right, I'm off. So I'm going to start again. I can type that in there. Right.